Hello everyone. Welcome to another new draft week. This time we're here with the XPDLA. If you don't know how my draft recaps go, if you're someone from XPDLA who's maybe checking in to see why why I drafted what I drafted on this team, I'll just let you know that these things are incredibly scuffed. Maybe there's background music like there is in this one. Maybe there's not. All I know is there's going to be no editing, one take. This is it. So here we are. Going into this draft, I legitimately had no clue what I wanted to draft. So I had 12th pick of 16, which is pretty bad for knowing what you want first. It's pretty much whatever becomes available. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited for what became available. And stunningly, a certain fish was available. So, first pick is Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu, great dark fire type with its Beads of Ruin ability, or in the special defense of opposing Pokemon by, I forgot what it is, but I think it's like one stage or something. So, Chi-Yu also gets access to the solid coverage moves, Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Overheat. It can run funny Flame Charge sets if it wants to. It has Nasty Plot, Sub, Psychic for a little bit of coverage. Granted, Dark Fire. Dark Fire is okay coverage in and of itself, but Psychic can try to fill in the remaining gaps. And yeah, so I haven't drafted Chi-Yu before, which is part of the reason why I'm so excited to try this out. And another reason is that I have Chien-Pao, if you remember, in the RPA, the Reasonable Pokemon Association. So I find it hilarious that I get to try out both of the Uber tier Ruin Pokemon at the same time. And just so happens to be the two offensively oriented Ruin Pokemon. So I'm super duper happy to try out Chi-Yu. There's a lot of funny stuff I can run. Realistically, I feel like I'm probably going to be bringing Boots a lot, but Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, funny Flame Charge sets, or even other fun sets that I'll just not disclose for now can be brought. I may bring it in the future, but yeah. So that's Chi-Yu. Since I haven't really drafted Chi-Yu before, I didn't really know what to pair up with it. I know Iron Treads was suggested to me to form give me another way to get Chi-Yu in, set rocks for it to weaken some Pokemon to make these 2-hit KOs Okos, or 3-hit KOs 2-hit KOs. But I decided to forego that option to really solidify having a good offensive core. Chi-Yu, it struggles with like rock types, and I figured a nice way, or a nice like pair up option for this is going to be a strong fighting type, and I got Mega Gallade. Mega Gallade gives me a base 110 speed tier, making my team already pretty fast with a base 110 and a base 100. It gives me a very, very strong physical attacker to complement Chi-Yu as a very strong special attacker. And Mega Gallade gets some nice utility, to be honest. It gets like, I think it gets like Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave, Teleport even. Like, it gets a lot of strong utility if I wanted to use it that way, but there's no sugarcoating it. This is here for not a special attacker, a physical attacker. It could be a special attacker if I wanted it to, but its main strength is as a physical attacker, and yeah. So I have my offensive core built. I have a strong dark fighting psychic core, probably the best in the league. And so pairing up stuff with this offensive core, I need a strong pivot core, good hazard removal, good hazard setting to support these Pokemon. And this is where the rest of my team starts to fit into place. Round 3, I went ahead and took Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is a pretty good defensive water type that Has a lot of good utility. It has utility as a defogger, utility as a status spreader, dual screens, so that way I can get Chi-Yu and Mega Goade in to sweep easier. It has options for Volt Switch too, and hell, it could even like do a Nasty Plot setup. So yeah, Rotom Wash is like another one of the Pokemon that I've wanted to try a lot in draft, but I've never really had a good chance to. So yeah, the one thing that I don't really like about Rotom Wash is its most reliable water-type stab move is Hydro Pump. And Hydro Pump's pretty unreliable. It's 80% accurate with base 110 power, so it seems powerful on the surface, but the power means nothing when you're going to be missing every other move. Granted, Rotom Wash can run a lot of other stuff other than Hydro Pump, but Hydro Pump is going to be its main bread and butter move in dealing with ground-type Pokemon, which you can see my team kind of struggles with a Chi-Yu and Mega Goade. So, Rotom Wash will strive to be the ground answer that Chi-Yu needs to succeed, and serve a way to get Chi-Yu in for free, or Mega Goade in for free, with a possible slow Volt Switch, or just an offensive Volt Switch, or just an aggressive Volt Switch into Chi-Yu or Mega Goade. So, Rotom Wash often pairs well with Scissor as a defensive, or as like a pivot core for like Volt Turn, but I think Scissor wasn't available at this point, but I managed to find something nice, and that is the aforementioned Iron Treads. Iron Treads gives me a very, very reliable Rapid Spinner, a good ground Steel type with a base 106 speed tier, giving me an in-between between Chi-Yu and Mega Goade. It gives me Ice Spinner to remove terrain, so if someone is going to be running like an electric terrain team, then I can just Ice Spinner away the electric terrain and win the, well, not really, I wouldn't say win the game, there's still a lot that could go wrong, but yeah, it'd give me a better shot to win the game. I am sorry if my sound is being a bit awkward, I have to plug my laptop in. This is the one disadvantage of doing only one take. So, Iron Treads, it gives me a good Steel type, and more importantly, it still gives me a good like pivot core with Rotom Wash. Granted, both only pivot with Volt Switch, but some pivoting is better than no pivoting. And like I said, Scissor wasn't available at this stage in the draft. Either that or it didn't cross my mind. I don't think it was available though. I think Iron Treads was the best Steel type I could do. And yeah, it's still a pretty darn good Steel type. So the interesting thing about this pivot core with Rotom Wash is the defensive utility of it. So obviously, Chi-Yu is going to be weak to rock types. I have an offensive check with Mega Goade, but I have a defensive check with Iron Treads, and Iron Treads, Rotom Wash kind of just complement each other nicely based on their weaknesses. Rotom Wash is weak to grass types. Iron Treads is a steel type and can resist grass types, or at least won't be taking much from it, but Iron Treads is going to be weak to water and fire types, and that's where Rotom Wash can come in and beat those. Iron Treads is also weak to fighting types, but Mega Goade can come in and beat those fighting types offensively. Rotom Wash, weak to grass types. Chi-Yu comes in and beats those offensively. It's a very nice team synergy-wise so far, and I decided to get one more bulky pivot to really help the team out. Rotom Wash and Iron Treads have very limited like survivability or longevity. Well, they have plenty of survivability, but longevity is a big, big issue for it. So I decided to pick up a good, solid Wish Passer in Blissey. Granted, Blissey probably won't be running Wish a lot of the weeks. It'll probably be running Soft Boil with like S-Toss, and just pretty much the standard Blissey set. But the key thing with Blissey is it gives me a Heal Bell user, and it gives me a Teleport user. Teleport guarantees goes last, so if they want to like switch in a fighting type on this, I can teleport out and go into Mega Goade, keeping my momentum in the game and then I can make a read from there to just try and punish their switch and just keep the game going in my favor. Boise's one of my favorite Pokemon to use in draft. It's nowhere near the level like Nidoking, but it's still very, very good. Mainly for that teleport utility. Being able to just get like a slow pivot out into something that can force them into thinking twice about making a read, it's very, very invaluable for my style of play. And even then, I can still run some funny Boise sets. I can run Calm Mind if I want to. And that's just hilarious to me. Run Calm Mind Boise. I managed to pick up a sweep and a speed tour with one. But this is an actual draft league, not a speed tour. But that's Boise. It also gets rock support. So Iron Trez isn't going to be forced to run Stealth Rocks every week. And that's very, very big. So, yeah. So, that's Boise. Moving on, I went and grabbed Noivern. I needed a good dragon and a base 120 plus speed tier. And Noivern fit all those boxes. It gives me a flying type as well to check ground types a bit better. Because my team was looking a bit ground weak at this stage. I know I went over this in my RPA analysis, but Noivern gives me lots of fun utility. It gives me a trick user with switcheroo, gives me a pivot with U-turn, gives me defog access, and gives me like the interesting infiltrator ability to hit through like an opponent's screens, like light screen, reflect, aurora veil. I can ignore those and still hit my opponent pretty hard. Noivern's a very underrated special attacker as well with Choice Specs Boom Burst. And I'm hoping to exploit that to maybe not put as much offensive pressure on Chi-Yu. Not that I'm saying I'm bringing defensive Chi-Yu. I'm just saying that I don't think in a draft league format, Chi-Yu can get like everything done, especially offensively. Noivern will help with that, and so will my next pick. And my next pick is going to be my first Terra Captain for this league. Tapu Lele was available as a 15-pointer, and this, along with Clefable, is one of the two fairy types that I was looking at. Clefable would have given me another Stealth Rocker, it would have gave me an Unaware User, would have gave me Magic Guard, and it would have gave me another Pivot. It's something akin to Boise, where it gets Stealth Rocks and it gets Teleport, but Clefable got taken, which didn't really affect me too much because I already locked into Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele gives me a base 95 speed tier, and kind of like fitting the gap between Chi-Yu and Rotom Wash is very nice for my team. The one thing that is bad about this pick is it doubles up on a Psychic type, and my team doesn't really have the best Ghost answers. Aside from, it doesn't really have like the best like defensive Ghost switch-ins that's not named Boise. I'll give it that much. So, yeah. But the one thing that Tapu Lele does for this team is a pretty indispensable role, and that is give Psychic Terrain for Mega Gallade to spam Psychic moves. I've played Gen 8 Monotype, I think yeah, Gen 8 Monotype, where like the main Psychic teams always had a Tapu Lele with a bunch of Psychic attackers. They dubbed that strategy Psy Spam, and I really wanted to try to bring like part of that Gen 8 Mono Psychic back into my playstyle with a Psy Spam, with like a Psy Spam aspect of the strategy. Psychic Terrain also blocks priority moves, so if some team tries to like Prankster T-Wave my Mega Gallade or something, it won't affect me. Or if they try to Mach Punch my Chi-Yu, it won't affect me. Tapu Lele gives Psychic Terrain support, blocking all those moves, and it also gives me a better special attacker option than Noivern to support Chi-Yu. And that's very, very indispensable for this team. Chi-Yu can't get everything done on its own because although it's like an uber tier Pokemon, even the best Pokemon have their limits, and Tapu Lele is going to help Chi-Yu in that regard. So having two special breakers on a team is much better than having one, and Tapu Lele gets access to Terra. So Tapu Lele can go for like Terra Fighting Focus Blast to hit Steel types harder, or it can go for like I don't know, Terra Fairy to boost Moonblast power, Terra Psychic to boost Psychic move power even further, with the Terra Psychic boost plus Psychic Terrain coming off of like just the, I think it's like base 130 special attack of Tapu Lele. It's going to be hitting incredibly hard. Now, I have the bulk of this team already built. I just need to build up the nice supporting cast around it. So, next one's a returning pick from RPA, and that's Bramblegast. I really, really like its utility as a base 90 speed tier grass ghost type, because I needed a ghost type at this stage in the draft, and this pick would leave me a bit weak to ghost, so I'd have to remedy that later. But Bramblegast, it gives spike support, it gives rapid spin support, and it gives strength sap, which is a pretty fun recovery move. It lowers the opposing Pokemon's attack stage by 1, and it'll heal based on like how much attack they had. So if I get this in on like a Mega Metacham, I'm gonna be like full heal from 1. Like, it's insane how much you can heal with Strength Sap. It's probably the best healing move in the game, and yeah. I'm not going to go over Bramblegast too much in detail because I pretty much did it in the RPA draft analysis. So next up, I decided I needed like another defensive piece to kind of complement Blissey a little bit. I needed a defensive fighting type check, and so I've decided to pick up Weezing as like a Fizz-Def wall to complement Blissey being a Spadef wall. Blissey Weezing makes a pretty underrated defensive core that I observed one of my friends drafting this in a Gen 8 draft, and it's pretty annoying to take down. It's pretty annoying when played right. Weezing gets pretty nice utility with Toxic Spikes and Toxic. It gets a fun item removal move in Corrosive Gas, which is basically status move knockoff. It doesn't do any damage, but it still removes an item. So yeah, it gets Flamethrower to deal with steel types. Granted, it's not going to be hitting hard. It's a Weezing. It has like base 70 special attack or 65. It's pretty low, all things considered. But the utility of it comes like with Toxic Spikes, Pain Split, Corrosive Gas, status moves. And that's what I'm going to be using most of the time. I could even get it like a cheeky Sludge Bomb Poisoning if I wanted to. And this, along with just like the really, really good defensive pairing with Blissey, that's why I wanted to draft this. Gives me the defensive fighting type check. Well, not really a check, just like a switch in to like get other things in. And so that's Weezing. Going into my next pick, I needed a bit more hazard support because the hazard game has been carried by Iron Treads, Blissey, Bramblegast, and Weezing. I felt like I needed webs because my team is rather slow. Granted, if this was like a Gen 8 draft, this would be a pretty damn fast team. But this is Gen 9, base 123 is your fastest, ain't cutting it anymore. So I decided to get Shuckle to kind of bolster my hazard game. It gives me another Rock Setter to help out Iron Treads and Blissey, and it gives me another hazard that is going to help out Chi-Yu and Mega Gallade and Tapu Lele immensely, and that's Sticky Web. Sticky Web will, if they're not like levitating, a flying type, or holding heavy duty boots, it'll lower the opposing Pokemon's speed by 1 stage, making Chi-Yu, Mega Gallade, or Tapu Lele faster than it, and kind of opening the door for Chiyu, Megawade, and Wayway to kind of come in and win. So, yeah, Shuckle also gets Encore to kind of walk potentially offensive Pokemon into a setup move, and I could get in Chiyu, Megawade, or Utapu Wayway to come in and just deal with the threat. It gets knockoff for item removal, removing heavy duty boots, so more Pokemon get affected by the webs, the spikes, or the rocks that I'll set up. And yeah, Shuckle's another favorite mon of mine in a draft league. I've used it like quite a few times. It's pretty exploitable, but you can limit those exploits by running Mental Herb. The most common like move used to counter Shuckle is Taunt, and Mental Herb blocks Taunt. So removing the one check at least for one turn guarantees that I get those sticky webs up, and I can even run some funny contrary Shell Smash sets, taking advantage of Shuckle's base 230 defenses. And I could run Toxic, Infestation, stuff like that to just generally whittle my opponent's team down and possibly get a funny Shuckle sweep. Granted, everyone in this league is a very, very good player, and I don't think they'll fall for a lot of it, but I can at least use Shuckle's utility of Sticky Web support pretty well to support Chiyu, Megawade, and Tapu Lele. The final pick, I had 1 point left at this point, and although this pick ain't going to be coming to many games, if at all, it gave me a pretty aesthetically pleasing ghost type immunity, and that is the Raticate. So Raticate, of all the 1-pointers, it was probably the most useful 1-pointer I found. It gives me a U-turner if I should need it, but it has a funny like Guts Swords Dance set with Flame Orb. It can run like Swords Dance, Quick Attack, Facade, Flame Wheel, Bite. Like, it has a lot of funny moves, and it can do work in the right matchup. It's a pretty funny Pokemon, and although it's probably not coming to many games, I'm glad I can use the first shiny I got in this draft league. But anyways, that did not go as horribly as I thought it would. I will catch you all in XPDLA Week 1, where I take on my good friend Josh, coach of the Hotz Peak Deoxys. You may remember he beat me 6-0 in ICPL, and I'm hoping to get my revenge in this draft week. Later today, I should have my RPA Week 1 game up. It's still yet to be played, but it'll be happening later today. So, anyways, I will catch you all in the next video. Take care, have a good one, peace.